Things. It's my life, man. All right, so Affinity versus Jeskai Nahiri. Before the match, Taylor, you were telling me about how you think this is a very interesting matchup,
Yes.
and we're not sure who's favored.
And then you were keen on what removal spells this Jeskai Nahiri deck's going to have.
Right.
Ooh, man, Logic Knot.
Yeah, Logic Knot sees play as like a one of in these decks, I believe.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Here is the Hallowed Fountain. Yeah, so I think if Maddie were to have like a big start, 3 or 4 cards on the table after her turn 1, she could be in great shape, or she has one of the rare hands that lets her cast one of the 2 drops on turn 1, either a Plating or a Ravager.
Sure.
It can be a big deal.
Victor notably scried both to the top. I believe they were both lands.
Oh, I think she's got a big start here. Let's see, do we have another couple 1-drops maybe? Here's a Vault Scourge, that's important. Okay,
Oh
I like this line to get the Cranial Plating into play. Okay, she has a Glint Nest Crane. I can't see what she's looking at, but this is a big start. This is the kind of start I'm talking about. Where, okay, here's a Ravager, which I think is one of the premium cards against this deck. Because here's the issue.
Tell me the issue.
If she were to stick the Ravager, then it makes it so that Victor can't manipulate the rest of, you know what I mean? He can't target the rest of the cards. Oh, jeez. I wonder what her play is going to be here. If she can sniff out, you don't want to run into Remand or Mana Leak with your Cranial Plating because that leaves the mana hanging.
Right.
But if you have a Ravager, that mana is operative because you have the Ink Moth Nexus.
I see.
Alright.
I think this one's going to get negated.
I would assume that's what's going to happen. Alright.
Alright, so it looks like we're going to get a swing for 3 here. I can't see the other card in Maddie's hand. We know she has the Ravager. Oh, I think that's a Mox Opal. Into the Ravager. Yeah, so she would have done that backwards. It would have been much better.
Right, because you can't negate the Ravager.
Well, you could also have eaten the Mox Opal.
Concur.
It's just an extra +1/+1 counter. Faux free.
Yeah, I'd just say you could still run into a Remand Mana Leak. I don't think she was specifically thinking about negate.
Oh, sure. And, I mean, it's hard to think about main deck negate.
Alright.
When you're the Affinity player.
So this is actually still a great position for her. I would not be concerned in the least. You feel a little sheepish to misorder your cards there. But
Card is Signal Pest. The draw is Signal Pest, rather.
I would fire up the Inkmoth Nexus and get in.
Yeah. You still have the mana to cast all your spell.
Yep.
Afterwards.
And you want to, yeah.
Not firing it up. That's
interesting.
Interesting. Maybe she wants to keep mana up in case there's like
a Remand. Miscalculation's not legal. Yeah, I guess Mana Leak. I guess you're running into Mana Leak regardless.
Yeah, you'll get Mana Leaked either way.
But Signal Pest is a big deal if it resolves here and sticks around. Because
that's
Victor...
worth like 4 damage, easy.
Right. And Victor's kind of coming into a low life total, so... This is what I'm saying. This is interesting. I mean...
Keeping the mana open also makes you pretty safe to anger the gods if that's what she's playing around, or like...
Okay, here's a Lightning Bolt off the top for Kurz.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt's strong here,
so
but not
he could bolt,
insane.
snap, bolt, but that doesn't. Nobody cares because Maddie's got Arcbound Ravager. It's the most important card. She may have just been straight up correct in casting it second, using the cranial plating as a bait spell.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you don't get the added bonus of the Mox Opal, but that one +1/+1 counter seems incidental in comparison to the impact resolving your Arcbound Ravager has. Alright, so here comes the Affinity team for 5. And here's the thing about Arcbound Ravager, this is going to stay 5.
It could become more than 5.
And it could. I mean, we could be sacrificing the Mox Opal and the Ink Moth Nexus.
Well, if he goes snap bolt here, then he is tapped out, and if you have like a path to victory that lies in going all in, then it's time. I
Right.
don't think that'll be the case here.
No, being tapped out is. So what Victor should do here
Going to 8
is
to fetch, that 1 damage could mean a lot here.
he should Snapcaster, target the lightning bolt, and see if Maddie will let him block the Memnite. And then if she chooses to sack the Memnite to the Arcbound Ravager, she can't save. Like, she has to do extra work to save the Arcbound Ravager. That doesn't kill him. So if Maddie's smart here, she's not. Upon target, what you do is you. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's a good play.
So I don't know what the card in Maddie's hand is.
In
but
this position, I would animate the Inkmoth Nexus and sacrifice it to the Arcbound Ravager.
Sure.
That's my line there. And then if he wants to bolt down the Arcbound Ravager, you're still getting in for 6, 7. Let's see what she decides to do.
Getting some timing clarification here on this play.
Oh, when mana pool's empty. So the current state of the rules is that mana pools are going to empty in the
Every single phase and step.
step, right?
Alright, so we've got that cleared up. Let's see what the play ends up being here.
Spell Snare.
Yeah, no real
2
cards.
negates in Victor's hand.
Is that 2 negates? Just letting the Ravager go.
See, this is not the right play because now this bolt. Alright, so Kurz going to 5 here. And in the second main, this is the haymaker.
Okay.
Alright. Bolt goes into exile. And Memnite down.
Kurz needs a draw here.
So Maddie's got Metalcraft. She's staying on Metalcraft, and she's got 5 damage on the table. He needs a removal spell. I'm sorry, she has 4 damage on the table. I apologize. So he needs a removal spell. Given that card in her hand, I wonder if I would have played that differently. You could sack the Memnite to keep the
Well, 100%. I think you cast the Edge Champion
Before
pre-combat.
combat.
Oh, we've got a 0. Okay, so that's a line. We've got EE for 0 to destroy the Mox Opal.
Let's see if we're going to get an island here.
Yeah, I would think it's an island with these glint nests. Oh, no, it's a mountain.
Okay, so we have basic mountain. That's okay. This makes me happy because it puts her on Galvanic Blast, which is a big deal here. Alright. So our land is searched up. We're going to have an untapped step. There's a spell snare.
That's a good one to have there.
That was a nice one. So Victor figured out his line that keeps him alive, and he was able to counterspell his the 8 best cards in Maddie's deck at that point.
Oh man, another one off the top.
And here's another negate.
Another negate. Swing for 2 more, puts him down to 1. He needs something now.
Does it say Wrath of God, Nahiri? Nope. All right. So that's interesting. I thought that game was very interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Like Victor definitely had to make some like very important lines to stay in the game. I mean, it was unfortunate he didn't quite get there. I think he was one Snapcaster Mage away from like really being in that game.
I don't think so.
We don't think so?
No. So he another Snapcaster Mage would have been sweet.
Maybe like an Anger of the Gods or something of that nature.
Yeah, or like another removal spell is what he was missing. He only had the 1 bolt, which he Snapcastered back, so another Snapcaster doesn't really do anything except ambush Viper.
Uh-huh. And so Maddie's going to bring in... See, this is great. She's 1 step ahead, so she's got Wear Tear in her sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
This card's important because it kills Stony Silence.
Okay.
Through Chalices.
Oh, yeah. Good point. So
you can change the converted mana cost of... Well, currently, I don't know how it's going to work. The converted mana cost stays the same once Amonkhet comes out because they changed these split cards.
Right.
But you can change the converted mana cost.
The only thing that
Wear
Amonkhet
Tear
changes is the converted mana cost when it's not on the stack.
Okay.
So if it's on the stack...
So while every split card's on the stack, it has the converted mana cost of the total number of... Total.
No. So if you cast Wear...
It has 1.
It has 1.
If you cast Tear, it has 2. And if you cast Wear and Tear, it has 3.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Alright, so... Anyway, it's important...
But in all other instances, it's just 3.
It's important because you can change the casting cost of Wear and Tear depending on which modes you use, which prevents it from getting countered by Chalice.
Is Chalice a big sideboard card against Affinity?
I don't hate a Chalice on 0.
I do. I think it's just bad.
Especially if you're on the play. On the draw, maybe not so much. It depends on how many cards Victor actively wants to take out.
So how many 0-cost cards is Maddie going to have post-board?
10.
Like, Memnites could probably stay in. Mox Opals are fine.
You want your Memnites, Ornithopters, and Mox Opals.
Okay.
And the thing you have to remember is on the play, when you play that on turn 1 and tell them to go, you've closed out a lot of the best hands. Like, all your top 10% hands with Affinity have 1 or more of these 0-cost artifacts.
Sure. But I think there's like a large portion of very good hands that don't.
Alright. I mean, I think it's fine. It depends. It really depends on how many cards Victor has for the matchup, and how many cards he can actually effectively bring in.
Okay. So it looks like we do have a wear and tear. There might be a one-lander with a number of
Rest
2
in
drops.
Peace, 2 cranial platings, and a mulligan. So it looks like everybody's going to be on 6, which is...
So a Rest in Peace? Is that a common one for Affinity to bring in?
Against turning off their Snapcaster Mage and turning it into a 1-for-1 battle is pretty important.
Okay.
The way you get behind is that, like, their spells are really 2-for-1s because, you know, they get to Path or Bolt your guy without spending a card.
Right.
With Snapcaster Mage. And you really need every card to count for a card of theirs.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Is Rest in Peace the best option to shut down Snapcaster for Affinity?
There's Grafdigger Cage that prevents those cards from being cast. But I think some decks are playing Rest in Peace to gain an advantage on the Dredge decks.
Interesting.
In the Living End decks. Grafdigger Cage didn't do anything against them. Alright, 6 is for everybody. We got some keeps.
Maddie Bottoms.
Alright. Let's see what kind of action we have here. Is that a Pithing Needle?
Looks like it.
Yeah, looks like a Pithing Needle. A couple Ornithopters. Alright. So we got Metalcraft on board. And
so I think the hand is Cranial Plating, Pithing Needle, Land.
Okay.
Pretty solid. She'll definitely want to play around Spell Snare and Negate here.
Concur. There's not a ton of cards.
Stony Silence.
Sure.
That's a fun card.
Yeah, this is a card that's, you know, well, it's a card. It's a Magic the Gathering card.
Is it a Magic the Gathering? Okay. That makes sense that it would be a Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, it's in a Magic the Gathering deck.
I would play out this Cranial Plating here if at all possible. Looks like it's not going to be possible.
So Darksteel Citadel does not...
It doesn't do anything.
It cannot operate under Stony Silence. It's
also cannot be destroyed.
Concur. It's still indestructible. So that part's still there. Alright, so we're at 18 to 20. Here is
another one. Back down to 18. So Victor should be at... He's taken...
2 from the attacks and 2 from fetch lands now.
So he should be at 16.
Sure.
Which is still a reasonable life total.
Yeah.
So what do you name with his Pithing Needle? I mean, is this just the Soul Read on Nahiri? I don't know that you saw anything game 1, is what I'm getting at.
Concur.
Oh, that's a good target.
That's something that has that's a Magic the Gathering card with a name.
And a pretty relevant activated ability.
Yep. This is the one where your guys get smaller when attacking. It produces a trigger. So what you can do is name the Jace with this Pithing Needle.
Pretty solid.
Alright, so
there's an Ornithopter in hand.
Yep, just holding on to that.
So the fact that her hand is Ornithopter, Cranial Plating, I believe, means that she needs to top deck like Runner, Glimmer Void, Wear and Tear.
Wear and Tear, sure.
Not a great place to be. Not awful.
No, I mean, here's the thing. She's still applying enough pressure.
I wouldn't say it's enough pressure. It's a Mox Opal instead of a Cranial Plating, sorry.
Yep, it's so here's some pressure. Alright. So she's still applying enough pressure that Victor is using cards.
Sure.
So it's really hard to get ahead on cards in this format. Like there's Sphinx's Revelation, and that's really Thirst for Knowledge is like a card that puts you ahead on actual number of cards.
Yeah, I mean,
but everything,
you also have Compulsive Research, and I mean, there's any number of cards if you want that, but
right,
they're typically pretty expensive or appropriately costed, as it were.
And so if you can, as the Affinity player, Stony Silence is fine. I mean, it's good, right? It's obviously like shutting down a lot of Maddie's game plan here, but if you can just keep trading card for card with somebody, you're fine. You're going to be okay. Alright, here's a mountain. That's a good draw. So if I were Maddie, I would be getting Cranial Plating into play.
Yeah, you might as well cast it, get into play. I think she has a Mox Opal as well that I would just get in there.
At least having the one Cranial Plating in play, you find out where he stands, where Victor stands.
Blink Moth Nexus.
That could be relevant. The other thing, Etched Champion's a good card right now.
Oh yeah.
So there's outs, and Victor is not particularly applying his own pressure by any means. Let's see what we got. Here's a Springleaf Drum. Okay.
Might as well.
Little test spell out there. Okay, Young Pyromancer has joined Victor's hand.
That seems pretty solid here.
A lot of passing.
So it's Mox Opal, Cranial Plating, XX.
Yeah, so the reason I would get Cranial Platings into play is because eventually the game plan has to be to draw out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, you don't want to take additional turns to deploy your threats.
Right.
And so even though it doesn't do anything now, all right. Yep, and so now Victor has a reasonable army.
A reasonable army.
Reasonable enough that that his attack steps are going to bring an end to this game.
Certainly.
Alright, so we're down 2 Ornithopters, which weren't critical to our game plan.
She has another one in hand, and plenty of artifacts to fuel this Cranial Plating if it comes to it.
Sure. Yes, Victor's going to trigger the...
Oh, has a second basic.
There's a mountain and an island. I like it.
Tricky. Setting 6. Take Maddie down to 8.
Putting her just a snap bolt away from the end here. No third basic, alright. Yeah, so in game 3, Affinity's not the kind of deck where you can mulligan to one of your hate cards.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of your hate cards are getting in the way of your game plan.
Yeah. Glint Crane is pretty solid here.
Yeah, until you see that wear tear that you can't take. But it definitely is a 1-3.
Yeah, it's a nice body.
Yep. Don't think it's gonna last very long here. I think we got a snap bolt, snap path. Yeah, Maddie sees writing on the wall. We're gonna move to game 3.
So yeah, you can't really mulligan into your sideboard cards, but you just want to keep as aggressive a hand as possible.
Absolutely. I liked the Pithing Needle.
Yeah, Pithing Needle did work there.
I liked
wear and tears.
I like wear and tears.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we saw how important wear and tear is going to be for her to win this matchup. I could probably get into taking out Mem Knights, but I'm on the play, so I want to be aggressive.
Yeah, I would probably keep Mem Knights in because even in the late game they trade for young Pyromancers, which is real nice.
Where you want to be.
I mean, now that he's going to swing in with young Pyromancers.
I would be out on Steel Overseers and Master of Ethereums.
See, I was, I'm pretty sure Steel Overseer came out, which is 100% correct for game 1. I would be all about the Master of Ethereum here.
I just want more Edge champions.
Yeah, so I'd be even a fan. Like, I want to minimize the impact of this Stony Silence.
Right. And so Master of Ethereum does that, sure.
Admirably.
Convincingly.
Exactly. Would you be willing to shave on cranial platings?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'd be willing to shave on Glint Cranes.
All right. Yeah, I could get behind that.
Just increase your density. Glint Crane is good,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have it doesn't have the onboard synergy that you would hope a card in this deck to have.
Sure.
So there's that.
My thought with shaving and cranial plating is that the first one's super explosive and great if he doesn't have the Stony Silence. Second one, not as much. And if he does have the Stony Silence, then you either have 1 or 2 dead cards in hand.
Sure.
So I'm not advocating like cutting them entirely, but I like taking 1 out personally.
Okay.
But that might just be playing around his sideboard too much.
Yeah, I mean, Affinity is definitely a deck that has to do what it does.
Yeah.
Once you lose sight of that, you're
no longer doing what you do. You're doing what you don't.
All right, what do we got here? So I see a Darksteel Citadel. I see
We see Signal Pest, Chrome Mox, Mountain. Not Chrome Mox, sorry, Mox Opal.
Oh man, so if I can get double Signal Pest into play on turn 1, I'm happy.
I think that's
a
an
very
Edge
good
champion.
hand. Well, if you have Chrome Mox, or I'm sorry, Mox Opal, Darksteel, Signal Pest, you can cast the second Signal Pest.
Yeah, I'm just saying we can follow it up with a turn 2 Edge champion.
Yeah, that's very good. This hand is very, very good.
And this Edge champion can't be spell snared. It won't be pathable or boltable under any circumstance.
Right.
It's time to run it out there. And then this hand is very good against Stony Silence.
Yeah, Signal Pest is probably the best card against Stony Silence. Yeah, just... Oh man, Blessed Alliance is a... Is it blessed or blessed?
Blessed Alliance. I'm pretty sure you could say it either way, honestly.
Is it one of those verb or noun things? Verb or adjectives?
I don't think
Adjective or
so.
adverb? Because some words change pronunciation depending on whether they're a verb or a noun.
I don't think this is one of those.
Okay. Oh, did he just... Was his only option to path that? Man, this puts Maddie way up on mana. Wow. I'm very happy.
So
that's fine.
Turn 2 Stony Silence. Nobody cares.
That's fantastic.
2 mana.
If she has... I mean, if she empties her hand of creatures right now, I would just be thrilled. Gosh, there's more mana.
Well, it's not actually more mana here.
Right.
No play from Maddie. Not great, but she still has a pretty good board presence.
Concur.
Now, even if this Signal Pest dies, this Edge Champion will live on.
Yeah, so this Stony Silence could have completely shut Maddie out, but the path keeps her in this game.
Yeah, having 2 mana is much better than having 1 in this situation or in this deck period.
Right. Considering, I mean, she might have Glantnest Crane. Here's the Young.
Oh, we're trying to race?
Trigger. I mean, I think that's his only choice.
Sure.
I mean, 3 a turn's a lot. When you start out behind by 7.
Yeah, Maddie might need to get another creature to actually race this Young Pyromancer. You definitely don't want to get it into a position where you are holding creatures back.
Concur.
Resolving a scry here. Electrolyze in Victor Kurz's hand could be a difference maker.
Sure. It reduces 1 damage a turn, draws him a card, generates an extra damage a turn for him, and the token. Oh man, he's thinking about these lands. All right. Alright, here's it. Man, Blinkpon Nexus is a very, very good card here. I was hoping for a Master of Ethereum. This is a situation where you're right. Master of Ethereum would be just amazing here.
Oh yeah, just bonkers.
Be very, very good. Would have been especially good in that spot right there.
Oh yeah.
It accounts for 2 damage right away.
What if she can sniff out this Electrolyze?
I don't think it matters. I mean, Victor didn't attack that turn. And so... Oh, she didn't fire up the Blink Moth Nexus.
That's heads up. And now she can run out this Whip Flare that she's drawn. Extra value. And swing in for 2. Oh, well, I guess she just didn't swing.
Alright, so Victor's going 8. Well, she just said the word combat, so what you do there is you say, I was telling you I wanted to enter the combat phase.
You still don't have the opportunity to play sorceries.
No, if he does something at the end of the main phase, then it kicks you back into the main phase with you priority.
So EE for 3 cleans up the Edge Champion.
Wow. Big haymakers here. I mean, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
There's Snapcaster Mage. Is that a thing in the ice?
Spell Snare, I believe.
Oh, alright. No, Ancestral Visions, Snapcaster Mage, Spell Snare,
Nahiri.
Okay. So here's Nahiri.
Yeah, EE should not have been able to activate with that Stony Silence out.
Whoops. I've made the same mistake before, Maddie. So, mine was in this day 2 of a Grand Prix too. So,
Ew.
much higher stakes than random tournament at GameSwap Mason.
All right, so we have a Memnite.
All right, so here
Ornithopter.
we go. We got some action here on the board. I like it. Is it Blessed Alliance?
Yeah, Blessed Alliance is going to be...
So I know that that's a card that I have a hard time sniffing out with. I mean, leaving the Ornithopter back is, 6 of one, half dozen of the other in most cases. But here it's relevant because it makes the Blessed Alliance much worse.
Oh, yeah. I am not at all worried about an Emrakul coming down if I'm Maddie. Look at all those permanents you have to sacrifice.
Yeah, that just aren't relevant. You know what I mean?
Did you guys just commentate the entire round? Why'd you put Victor on?
Question is, why is Victor Kurz on camera? The answer is because he plays the deck well enough that it's interesting, but there's enough things to think about that we have something to talk about.
Fair.
Here's the Blank Moth.
Let's see if we can send everybody here. Alright, so Electrolyze is going to clean up Maddie's board. I don't know what's going on here, how that was cast.
Yeah, yeah.
How are we casting this Ravager?
It's the same way we activated engineered explosives with the Stony Silence out.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that Victor Kurz is not intelligent enough to try to activate this on purpose.
I concur. Just like my opponent did not scumbag me on purpose, I'm certain Victor did not scumbag.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure he
Maddie
just
on purpose.
did not realize what he drew the engineered explosives. A light went off in his head. He drew a card that he could cast, and so he cast it.
The phrasing we use is not scum, just dumb. I've done it. People have done it to me. It's just, I mean, Magic is a very complex game. Lots of things to keep in order.
Yeah, I actually have no idea how this Arcbot Ravager is on the board, but that's fine.
It's okay. We've had some interesting interactions here.
You could say that again. I like that island. That's a pretty nice island.
Yeah, it's a good choice island. I can get down with that island. I don't think Maddie can afford an attack here.
Yeah, Nexus can't tap for mana when it's a creature, which it was, but it's also killed in combat, and
right.
I don't even want to get into it. There's
a few layers of things that occurred there. Yeah, I just don't think. Yeah, I don't think you can afford this because I don't know if she knows that Emrakul's coming. But the Big Mama is going to tear some eons.
That's fine.
It's going to put Maddie to 5. It's going to leave her with this Ornithopter in play.
She has a Galvanic Blast in hand that she's going to try to lean on here. And that's her line.
So did Victor go to 5? He did.
Down to 5. That's dangerous.
What?
Getting Dark Dwellers.
Victor can lose this game right now.
In many ways.
So if Maddie realizes it, what she needs to do is I don't know what the right play is, to sandbag the Galvanic Blast until Victor taps out, or to cast it at end of turn hoping to draw your second one.
Yeah, you definitely run it out there. Because you're so light on mana.
Right. But like if Victor taps out,
well, maybe you do it next turn because he's got
a lot of action right now. So you just wait for him to get a little too aggressive,
which he could easily do with that Goblin Dark Dwellers in hand now.
Yeah, see, you're going to get this countered here 100% of the time.
Alright, so he's gaining 4, losing 4, staying at 5.
Staying at 5, staying at 5. Hey, worked hard on that. I worked hard on that for you. Alright.
That was a little loose.
Little loose? Alright.
A for effort.
A for effort. I got an A in the class, boys.
Alright, so it looks like we're going to fire off another Dark Dwellers. Nope.
Young Peasy.
Young Peasy making an appearance.
Remand going to the bin. Lightning bolt coming off the top.
Victor is trying very hard to lose this game. Not doing very good job of it.
Sure.
Alright, Maddie's seen enough.
Giving it up.
Maddie doing a much better job of losing the game
All right.
by just scooping. Alright, so there